Hey YouTube, Rico Knows here. Good morning, first and foremost. I was sent this chart and people wanted to know, hey Rico, is this factual? Is this true? According to, this college football NIL rankings that are all over Twitter, Shedeur Sanders made $4.7 million, or he's making that now, and Arch Manning at 2.8, and they have all these numbers. Is the backup quarterback really making more than the starting quarterback? And shout out to all the millionaires and all the kids and everything. And the first thing I want to tell you guys is, so these players are making money. There is no doubt in my mind. Everybody's making money to some extent. But this is all according to On3 NIL right here. You see it, On3 NIL. And before all you guys jump in the comments and start reacting, you don't know what you're talking about, everybody just slow down and just listen, because you're about to learn something today. These numbers are made up. They're nonsense. They're not public figures. They don't know what they're talking about, and On3 admits it. And On3 will tell you this nonsense. So if you go to On3, and as you start scrolling down, there's this column here. It's called NIL value. And as you scroll, you will see KJ Jefferson, $479K. Oh my God, he made $500,000. Keep going. Julian saying, oh yeah, he's making chips. No, all this is the projected worth based upon the collective NIL amount made across the country. And we'll get into it, okay? So imagine there's a big pie or a big pot of money for all college football players in NIL's calculations. There's a huge pie, and then they just calculate how much of that pie is per capita, like earned by a particular player. That's it. It's a valuation. It's nonsense. So when you look at these numbers, it'll just be a random dude, Chubba Purdy, going from Nebraska. Did Nevada pay $63,000 to Chubba Purdy? Probably not. This is what they're saying he's worth. Did Western Kentucky pay $83K, $91K for Austin Mack to Alabama? Like, they just have these numbers here for projected value, if you will. None of it means anything in reality. So if it doesn't mean anything down here on random players, you can't magically think it means something for the top of the list. Now, there's NIL rankings here, and all they did for that graphic was they just skipped Bronny James and Livy Dunn and, Angel Reese and anybody else who's not a football player, and they just made the list of nothing but football players. Cool. But if you ever go to About NIL Valuations, and I've read this in depth, if you go to About NIL, look at this page, bro. It goes on for a while to explain how they came up with NIL valuations. What you need to understand is, if you need to explain it for this long, it ain't true. And when you start looking at it, it says a proprietary algorithm, meaning it's theirs. They own this algorithm. No one else owns it. It's theirs. It is projected 12-month growth rate for an athlete measuring two categories: roster value, and NIL. I thought this was about NIL and the money the players make. No. It's about something called roster value and NIL. So now the algorithm calculates the athlete's NIL or roster value and NIL by using dynamic data points. Do you guys understand dynamic means it can change? Okay. And then we're looking at performance, influence, exposure, and deal data. Now, the only one on here that should impact your NIL rating is deal data. If you found out how much money I'm making, go fix your numbers. If you found out I got $1 million NIL deal, fix your numbers. But everything else is so subjective, and this one boggles the mind. Performance. Do you know what that implies? If you play good this week, we'll raise how much you earned in NIL. Well, if you play good in 2 weeks in a row, you earn more. You don't have to sign a single contract. You didn't make any money. We're just going to raise the price. I've talked to players. I talk to college players every single day. I've talked to players who tell me, Rico, NIL got me at $300K, but coach ain't paying me nothing. NIL got me at $70K, coach ain't paying me nothing. It's exactly what they tell me. I said, all right, well, don't go to the websites. They're just nonsense. They're just making up numbers. It is a bullshit algorithm. You can go in here. We calculate NIL valuation calculates the optimized NIL opportunity for athletes relative to the overall NIL market. There it is, relative to the overall NIL market. So they go and they get some damn person to say, this is the NIL market, $5 billion. Now we got to divide it by 15,000 players. Okay, how much of this NIL market is this player allocated? Is this player allocated? Is it? And who's getting the bigger slice of the pizza? That's all it is. It's nonsense. You come down here, it says performance is determined by how the athlete performs on the field. Big games against key opponents, that'll increase your performance rating. That will increase your NIL valuation on this website. This is absurd. The better you play, the more they assume you got paid. That's crazy logic. That right there makes you want to throw this thing away. Becoming nationally ranked and winning national awards will have the most impact on an athlete's valuation. Not contracts, not money. It's this right here. Winning national awards. Participation in college sports is weighted heavier in most cases than those participating at the high school level. Well, no shit, bro. Influence. What? Influence is determined by an athlete's own social media authority. That has nothing to do with NIL. That has more to do with that individual's social media accounts. Social media followers, reach, and engagement, the key E word everybody uses, engagement, are the primary factors that determine influence. So the more influence you got, the more NIL money you made. Tell that to every freshman at Colorado right now that just joined the team. They start a YouTube page, they start an Instagram, they start a Twitter, and they get a ton of followers. Does that change their NIL? According to On3, it does. According to On3, it does. Exposure, determined by several factors, including whether the athlete is in high school or college. They're all in college. Which school the athlete attends and their position. Sounds limiting here. Athletes that attend universities with a larger fan base and media attention are likely to see positive impact on valuation. Yeah, if you transfer to a school we don't like, you don't get as much money valuated on you. And remember, a valuation is just an estimation of what you're worth. That's all it is, if you guys didn't know. Shout out to Forbes magazine for labeling people billionaires and they never had $1 billion. But what this really comes down to is you see it, players going to a school that people think is worth more than another school. That's crazy. What about position group? What if you're an edge and you want to be labeled an edge and not a linebacker? Because linebackers in the NFL don't make nearly as much as edge rushers. So no, you don't label me that. I'm this. You don't think it happens? Fullbacks and tight ends, same thing. There's so many people, especially when it comes to being like a franchise. Give me my franchise tag. What franchise tag you want? Because you're going to get the average pay of the top 5 players in your position group. Well, you know, some days I'm a tight end, some days I'm a wide receiver. I think I should be a wide receiver. Why? Why don't I want to be a running back? Well, I'm a third down wide. I'm a slot receiver. Start paying attention to this shit. This is crazy. And then the last one that actually makes the most sense. On3 collects and verifies athlete deal data from numerous sources. Okay. Including athletes, coaches, collectives, agents, and player representatives as the foundation of roster value. This is the foundation of roster value. No, it's not. They got them in order by precedence. They got them in order by what they value. What is roster value? It's a calculation of an athlete's respective value to their team. Are you the MVP on your team? Do they need you to win? What percentage of production have you had? That's roster value? Well, that ain't true. That's not true because you can be a backup quarterback in Texas and your valuation is through the charts. Why? It is the amount an athlete hopes to receive primarily through the school's collective. Now we're talking this part right here. So once again, you look at a school's collective, the amount of money they've earned, and then you just divide it at a prorated rate by all the players on the team. And you guess who's getting what portion of that collective money. So if you heard a school earned $14 million, you start looking at all the players and go, well, how much would they give that guy? How much would they give that guy? How much would they give? But what does that have to do with how they perform? Do you think the NILs are paying players after game for performance bonuses? Shit, man, you scored 3 touchdowns, you get more money. According to On3, that's how it gets down. I'm making none of this up. It's in black and white on their website. Right here. It is estimated that for college football and basketball athletes, 90% of all payments are roster value versus NIL. This is letting you know that you don't make money off your name, image, and likeness. The vast majority of players are just getting their money from the collective. And we all know this. We don't need to kick this. We don't need to beat this dead horse. But remember, they have a P here because they're going to have an algorithm or a formula later. And P is for performance value. Cool. What is NIL value? We got it. Performance, influence, and exposure, or PI. Performance, influence, and exposure. Cool. Projected overall NIL marketplace, it's just how much money are we earning. Cool. Why does the On3 valuation change week to week for some players? Rico, how accurate are these numbers? Did the players make this much money? If that's true, then they're signing contracts every week. It changes every week. On3's NIL valuation changes every single week. You guys understand that? That's absurd. And you guys want to quote this shit? Hey, how much money you make, man? I don't know. I make about $30. Hey, man, I'm 40, 50, 37. Just start saying numbers. Just start saying numbers. How do I increase my On3 NIL valuation? Now, this is for athletes. This is for players. Performance in an athlete's arena will always lead to the biggest increase on NIL valuation. That's right. They said if you just play, go play well. Abu Sama, rush for 300 yards in the snow. Showing out at a high level in key games on the national stage will lead to a significant increase. Not money. Not money. Not a contract. Nothing in your bank account. It's showing out in big games. It's in black and white. They wrote it. I didn't. It's just, did nobody read the fine print? Did all you guys just think it's oh, these guys got millions? No, it's right here, bro. Another example of being the impact of being nationally ranked at a position. Rankings are based on continuity and consistency of performance. Okay. Athletes who constantly market themselves, now there we go, and position themselves by doing the work and getting deals will see a jump in their valuation. I would hope so. I would hope deals change your valuation. Let's just keep it 100. Like, let's keep it a stack. If you get a deal, I want to see that number go up. If you don't get a deal, why are we changing the number, bro? I get paid on the 1st and the 15th. How are you going to say I got more money on the 7th? How are you going to say I got more money on the 21st? I checked the account. I checked the bank account. It don't matter how hard I work. I didn't get more money. These players aren't getting more money because they played well. According to NIL, they are. According to On3, they are. And this is the shit you guys quote. This is the algorithm you guys push to me. This is the worst part right here. How accurate is the On3 valuation algorithm? The algorithm comes from 27 years of data and science innovation in college sports publishing. Fucking hold the phone right now. Time out. NIL has not been around for 27 years. So what 27 years of data and science innovation have you been doing? Ranking athletes, ranking recruits? Giving out 4 and 5 stars? That's your algorithm? That's what we're supposed to trust. That you did this for 27 years of doing some ranking, and we know the rankings are terrible. We know the rankings are terrible. Shout out to Whitney Lewis. We know the rankings are terrible. We've seen so many flops. But you want to apply that algorithm or the credibility from that algorithm to NIL valuation, and now you got people all over Twitter quoting your dollar amounts? See, my issue isn't with the players on the list, ever. Congratulations to them. My issue is with a website who boldly claims to have accuracy in their numbers based upon a 27-year-old or 27 years of history in data and science innovation. What? This is fucking bullshit. Excuse my language. This is tremendous amount of nonsense. This is fooling the casual fan. All the websites do this. They're recruiting for dummies. You go to the website, you're like, oh yeah, Rico, that's a 5-star kid, that's a 4-star kid, that's a 3-star kid, and people just believe what they read. And it's funny why every player who fails at their university is labeled a bust, and then they just get to a former 5-star athlete transferring to this school. The website never admits they got it wrong. It's always the player who's thought of in a negative slight or a negative light. That player didn't meet our expectations. So you put expectations on these players, and they didn't meet them, therefore they're failures. Instead of the inverse. You got it wrong, you're a failure. You pointed out the wrong player. You missed on that 3-star. You missed on that 0-star. But instead of doing that, you guys put the blame on the players. So now we got a bunch of players who might not be earning this amount of money. But you're going to put it on them that they're millionaires. So the day these players go broke, file for bankruptcy, or don't make it in the NFL, people are going to look and say, oh, don't worry, he's good. He made millions in college. No, he didn't. On3 lied. On3's putting it on players, labeling them busts before they ever get a chance to prove themselves. From the architects of the 3 major high school and college databases. Do you understand what this is? Is that the people who created On3 also created Rivals and 24/7 Sports? Same creator, same website creator. Just bought it, sold it, and made a new one. So he's taking credit for all 3. I'm a what is that, a plank holder? The valuation was developed with the assistance of multiple machine learning engineers. Well, I'm a cyber expert. I'm going to let you know that right now. I worked at the NSA for the last 10 years. I'm in cybersecurity. I understand automation. I understand AI and artificial intelligence. I understand machine learning databases. Guess what? None of this moves me. At no point did I ever try to write a program that calculated the change in valuation of a player that didn't sign a new contract. I never looked at somebody and said, man, what's your net worth today? Well, how hard did you work today? Well, your net worth went up today. I saw you get 100 yards. Your net worth went up today. It doesn't work that way. And then the inverse, right? You get a contract and you're not in the game. Do we ever decrease their valuation by poor performance? I need to know, because that would be incorrect as well. I signed a contract for $1 million. I go out and throw 5 interceptions. I'm still worth $1 million. You might not like it. I might get benched for the rest of the year, but I got a contract for $1 million. Performance on the field does not dictate my valuation. I still made my money. But you guys don't care about accuracy. You start making up these fake numbers and putting numbers on people, and then everybody starts sharing it all over the internet, and next thing you know, they forgot where they got it from. They forgot who to blame when it's inaccurate. That graphic that we started off this whole show with is people saying, hey, Rico, oh my God, look how much money they made. And I don't care that it says Fox and college football on it. I look at that part right there. According to On3 NIL, which is the most fictitious thing I've ever seen in my life. And they have the nerve to write paragraph after paragraph on how they came to these calculations, because they know they're wrong. They know it's made up. They know it. We did this. Creators of science-backed rating system. What science? What if a kid scores a touchdown and another kid scores, one kid scores an 80-yard touchdown untouched. Another kid scores a touchdown from the 6-yard line. They're both worth 6 points. There's nothing subjective there. There's a scoring system. But if one kid runs a 4.5 40 and another kid runs a 4.5 40, for some reason you guys rate them differently. They're not all equivalent. It's not like you pushed in the metrics and said, here you go. These guys are good. This is why we find 0 stars all over the place. This is why we find 3 stars everywhere. You guys don't put in the metrics and let them speak for themselves. You say this kid played at IMG and Bishop Gorman and Modern Day, therefore he's better than this kid. He played at these high schools. He's better than this kid. That kid in Oklahoma don't stand a chance against these guys. It's weird. They all run the same 40. You guys don't know what you're doing. It's gross. It's absolutely gross. Look at this. The evaluation also was born following the creation of On3's recruiting prediction machine. That's right. The crystal balls. The prediction machine pushed the ratings, the NIL valuations. What? It doesn't make any sense. You're guessing where a kid's going to go to school based upon talking to a coach or the player, based upon his visits, based upon available scholarships. You guys are making educated guesses on where people are going. And now you're going to call it a prediction machine and then claim that accuracy validates your NIL rankings and numbers. The accuracy, could you imagine? I give out information to gamblers. I tell gamblers who's going to win a football game. I do it all the time. And could you imagine if I told them, well, I'm 61% against the spread, but my transfer portal predictions are 90%. So you got to just trust me, right? My picks in gambling are 60%, 61%, UFC 67% against the spread. That's what I do in gambling. But in the transfer portal, when I have to guess where a player is going to go, I'm over 90%. NFL draft, evaluating players for the NFL draft, post-draft evaluations, I broke down 259 players. I missed on about 23 of them. I'm over 90%. Trust me, bro. I'm over 90%. That's what they're saying here. This is crazy. So it's called the Recruiting Prediction Machine, RPM, which is an algorithm and machine learning-based product to predict where athletes will attend college. What does that have to do with NIL valuation? Now, since the RPM, the Recruiting Prediction Machine, by the way, they didn't even show you how they're going to abbreviate it. Since the RPM was released in 2021, it has greater than 86% rate. Bro, this is smoke and mirrors. They just threw out 27 years. Look at all the numbers in this paragraph here. 27 years and 86%. Neither one of those has anything to do with NIL. This is how do we get our NIL? How accurate is NIL valuation algorithm? That's what it says on the screen. And they threw two numbers in that first paragraph. 27 years, 86% success rate. None of that has anything to do with NIL. But that's how accurate the algorithm is. They use that to justify it. Guys, this is some fucking stone cold salesman bullshit. I'm going to tell you guys, I once went to a furniture store. Walked in and I saw a couch for sale. Now, my wife had told me the couch was for sale. She said it was $2,500. It was for sale for $2,000. It was a sectional. It was a navy blue leather couch. I didn't want it. She wanted it. I had a big ass living room back in the day. I was like, yo, man, okay. It'll look fire. I'm looking like I'm on Cribs or something. So I go to the furniture store and I walk in and that shit says $2,500 again. I'm not buying it. So I call over this salesman and I say, hey, man, when does that couch go on sale again? Because the next time it goes on sale, I want to buy it. So it was like Memorial Day nearby, Labor Day. I don't remember which holiday was upcoming. But when does it go for sale again? I'll come back. And he looks at me, this black dude, real smooth talking dude. He'd been selling shit since middle school, right? Just always willing and dealing. He go, oh, yo, that couch right there, that's Italian leather. I didn't ask what the fuck it was. I didn't ask what it was made out of. I wanted to know when it goes on sale again. Oh, yo, that's Italian leather. Italian leather don't never go on sale. And I looked at him and I was like, what? I said, hey, man, do me a favor. Just go get a manager. And I'm not caring, bro. Go get a manager. And while he's going to get a manager, my wife is in her phone, my ex-wife, going through her phone. And she's finding the picture she took of that couch on sale. And when she pulled up the picture, old boy was in the background of that picture, wearing the same outfit he was wearing that day. True story. I tell the manager, hey, man, this dude tells me this couch never goes on sale. I have a picture of it on sale 2 weeks ago. What's his deal, man? Why? Well, you know, we're commission-based business, blah, 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 blah. Hey, listen, I don't play it. Then the manager goes, well, sir, to be honest with you, we do price matching. We'll actually sell it to you for the $2,000 as long as it was within the last 30 days. Bro, what are we doing? Yo, I almost got. I said, let me do this, dude. Give me somebody else on the floor because I want him to get credit for the sale. I want commission on that dude. And by the way, I want this couch. I want that hutch. I want that table. And I bought $9,000 worth of furniture just in spite of that motherfucker, just for trying to get me. I want you guys to look at On3 as that furniture salesman right now. I want you to look at them, and when you said, hey, man, when does this shit get accurate? They went, well, it gets accurate. 86% of the time we're accurate on recruits. So, we got to be accurate on that NIL evaluation. What are you talking about? You're not accurate on shit. This is embarrassing. On top of the experienced staff who created the On3 valuation, On3 has over 200 reporters and 30 years of connections with coaches, agents, media brands, and administrators. Well, first and foremost, there was supposed to be no agents in college football until a couple of years ago, so I don't buy that for a second. Secondly, how many of these 200 reporters worked there for 30 years? And what does any of this have to do with NIL? I don't give a shit how long you've had this staff. How many of them contribute to the NIL algorithm or accuracy, quality assurance, and quality control? You can't fool me, bro. I'm yelling out, I'm a genius. I'm Kanye, bro. Right? I'm letting you know right now, this is absurd that people believe this, even though it's right here on the website, even though it's like in black and white. And you guys still cool with it. Hey, yo, Reek, it said 200 reporters. This shit got to be accurate. 200 reporters, 30 years of connections. How many of these people were there when it started? How many of these people have been there for 30? No, stop it. They got reporters not 30 years old. They got writers don't remember 9/11, bro. I asked them, hey, man, where were you on 9/11? Motherfucker, like, I was watching Teletubbies. This is real. You tripping. And with the dedicated staff, oh, wait, let me go back. I don't want to skip anything. Combined with a team of data scientists, engineers, and developers who are experienced professionals in the space. What space, bro? What space? Algorithm creation? NIL? I need to know. Like, these words don't mean anything to me. I work with data scientists, engineers, developers. I am one. This is why I dominate my field. Because I can apply all of those intricacies. I'm an electronic engineer. I was a data scientist in the military. Shout out to the NSA. Shout out to our cyber. And you're damn right, we're all developers. Well, some of us. This is why I dominate what I do. You can't pull the wool over my eyes. And this don't mean nothing to me. The On3 NIL deal tracker has already tracked nearly 4,000 individual deals to date. Well, then why do you have more than 4,000 athletes with NIL valuations? If you have 4,000 deals to date, that's over how many years? 3 years? 3 years of NIL deals now? And you have 4,000 calculated? Do I have to go back to the website and show you that they have numbers for guys like, the backup quarterback at New Mexico State? You really believe Casey Thompson got $140K to go from FAU to Oklahoma? Or Davis Bevel went from Oklahoma to South Carolina for $100,000? You really believe these numbers? $82,000. Colton, do you think Gardner Webb pumped out $82,000? You think that happened? Or maybe this young man is looking for playing time and just left the school and went to another school. And they just made up these numbers because he came from a Power 5 school. 4,000. Why are there so many numbers here? You're telling me Deuce Hogan left Kentucky to go to New Mexico State for $73K? They're just adding numbers, bro. It's just a bullshit number. Trust. And when you go look at transfer portal classes like I have, the numbers are through the roof for any graduate transfer. Every graduate transfer has a number. That's a fact. And the way I get there, check this out. I'll show you guys something. I go to team transfer portal rankings. Transfer portal player rankings, no, you go to team. Click on team. Once you get the team rankings, click on any team. Doesn't matter. Then you want to click on transfers in, transfers out. And when you click on the in, this is what they claim all these transfers are making to get to that team. And you could throw out a bunch of numbers and you could say what you want, but how is it that you have 4,000 tracked offers, but I'm looking at one team right here And supposedly it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 different NIL values. 18 for their transfers in. You got 4,000, bro, in 3 years among 133 teams. Somebody do the math on that. It's embarrassing how they can just say these numbers are factual, they're true. They're not, guys. They're just a made-up number. It's pretty cool. I have made-up numbers too. I do. I have something called an impact value. I made it in home. I made it on my Excel spreadsheets. It's an algorithm I came up with. It's how I predicted who was going to have the best transfer portal class. I did it in my home. Hey, On3, put a stamp on it. Rico knows. Algorithm. 41 years of calculations and trusted sources. The fuck is wrong with these guys? How are collectives factored into the NIL deal? Well, I would really hope they're factored in. We have more than 250 reporters, including a dedicated national team. How big is your dedicated national team? How big? Because there's 133 schools. Let me calm down a little bit and let me give them credit. They have a team dedicated to this. Can I report the total value of my NIL deals? This is for athletes. They said yes. Go ahead and let us know. Let us know. Should I use my On3 valuation to inform my decision about picking a school or entering the transfer portal? Look at this shit. On3 aims to empower the athlete to make the best NIL decision for their future. Meaning this is not true numbers. This is here to give you motivation and let you know what they think you're worth. One of the most controversial and misunderstood concepts in the NIL era is an athlete's value. No shit, buddy. The On3 NIL valuation fills that need. No, it does not. No, it does not. It gives out a number that's pretty on a graphic in a GUI, a graphic user interface, that people will look and trust, which is absurd. With the On3 Athlete Network, student athletes will be able to see their roster and brand value. That information will be used as athletes and networks talk to coaches and collectives about recruiting in the transfer portal. There you go. These are the numbers players can use to leverage advertisements and future contracts and transfers. No, that's what you want it to be used for. You guys want to play a role in that. Like Forbes magazine playing a role in people's net worth. You just lean forward, and we're the first ones to have a meeting about it and said, let's do it. Shout out to 24/7 Sports, who looked around and said, that shit don't make sense. That's a made-up number. Do fans see my roster value and NIL value? No, fans do not have access to the private On3. There we go. They got a private On3 Athlete Network database. Come let us know what you're making, because we have no fucking clue. And there it is. All the NIL deal stuff, blah, blah, blah. We go on to another story. All right. I beat a dead horse long enough. The fact of the matter is shout out to these players for making their money, guys. But anytime you see something that says according to On3 NIL, just know it's a made-up algorithm. It's a bunch of bullshit. And when they asked them, hey, how accurate is your algorithm? They just started tap dancing and said, we've been doing this 27 years. NIL hasn't been around that long. We got 200 reporters. Who gives a fuck? We got this. We got that. We got it. Stop. None of it's true. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Stay safe, y'all.